Welcome back, Math 20. Today we are doing lesson 1 of the next unit, or the next chapter in the book, which is reasoning with angles and triangles, investigating angle relationships. The reason why I combined these two units together is because we are going to use inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning to determine relationships of angles formed by transversals parallel lines. Now, that is exactly what we did in the chapter before. We did inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning to come up with rules and ideas and patterns. So, here's our very first one. If I take a look at A, we're just going over some types of angles, some definitions, review of grade 8. We take a look at A, that is an acute angle. This angle here is less than 90. B is a right angle, okay? It is 90 degrees. Anything that is 90 degrees, it will be a right angle, and we normally put this little box there to denote a right angle. Now C. C here is an angle greater than 90, less than 180. So we're looking at this angle here. Now if we look at it, we have a right angle would be there, so it's bigger than 90 degrees, which is a right angle, and it's less than 180, which would be all the way across there, which is a straight line. So there is an obtuse angle. This angle here is obtuse. It is greater than 90, but less than 180. Now let's take a look at D. D is a straight line. Okay? Straight line is 180. So in other words, there would be a point somewhere here, maybe right there, and the angle goes like that. So it's 180. So if you start from there to there, it is a straight line. That is 180. Angle E is a reflex angle. So it's a reflex angle. What makes this a reflex angle is all the way around there if it's a reflex angle. So that means it is greater than 180, because 180 is a straight line. It would come out to around there. So there would be 180. It is greater than 180, but it is less than 360. 360 is a full circle. A complete rotation would be 360. It would look something like that. So if that was our point, that's a complete rotation is 360. Okay, so now that we know these definitions, we could go on now. It is very important that you know those definitions. So let's take a look here. Angles on one side of a straight line. So if we're looking at angles on one side of a straight line, so I have a straight line right here, and there's my straight line, and I want to find the angles on one side of it. Well, what is the angle of a straight line? What is always the angle of a straight line? We have that up here in D. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we're going to discover using, we're going to use deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning to figure out a rule here. So if I go like this and I measure angle X, I am going to end up getting, we go from 0, okay, 0 is on the outside, and we go all the way to where we are right here, so that means we must be on the outside, that is 140. So 0 to 140 is, X is an angle of 140 degrees. Okay? So let's try Y. Protractor, we're going to go all the way to Y. Now Y, 0 this time, is on the inside. Notice how my bottom line, my 0 line, always lines up with a line. 0 is on the inside. So I'm going to follow this. We're going with the inside number, which is 40 degrees. So Y is 40 degrees. Now we add those together. What do I end up getting? I'm going to get 180 degrees. Huh, well look at that. And this is a straight line. Okay, now let's take a look at B. So let's measure angle A. Well, it's easier if I just rotate my book. You guys could do this too. And I'm going to measure angle A. So A. So here's my start. This line's my start. My finish is the line there. So my start is on 0. Point matched up. So 0, I go all the way to here, and 0 is on the outside, and that is 120. So A is 120. Now let's take a look at B. Match up, go to the point, center on the point, and 0 is on the inside this time, and we follow this up. Hey, that is 60. B is 60 degrees. So I add those together, and what do I end up getting? I will end up getting 180. 180 degrees. Similar to that one. Now we're going to look at one more complicated. C, we have 3 angles. Not much different. If I look at this, straight line, it goes like that. Well, it's a straight line, and these 3 angles make up that straight line. Well, I think it's going to add up to 180, but let's find out. So first I'm going to measure angle P. So I put my point on the point, right, on the vertex, and I follow zeros on the outside for that one. And my line goes there, and we have to follow the outside, is around 35 degrees. So P is 35 degrees. Okay? So angle P is 35 degrees. Now we're going to look at angle Q. So we measure for angle Q. Angle Q starts here and goes up there. So let's measure out angle Q. Put my line on the base of angle Q, which is right here. So zeros on the outside I have. I go up. I get around 90 degrees. Okay? Next one is angle R. Angle R goes from here to there. Oops, we'll put that in. Angle R goes from here to there. So now we're going to measure angle R. Angle R comes like that. 0 is on the inside, so we follow the inside number, and it goes out, just go a little bit there, to around 55. Oh, is that right? 55, yep. And angle P is, I'm just going to double check angle P, 35. Yeah, so we have 55. So now we add these together, and we are going to get 180, because 35 plus 55 is 90, and 90 degrees is 180 degrees. There we go. So now we're going to use our inductive reasoning to come up with a law. So all angles in a straight line, on one side of a straight line, add up to what? We see there. No matter what, when we have all these angles, they add up to 180. Well, that makes sense, because a straight line is 180, and these angles combined make the straight line. If I just stop here, that's not a straight line. I go all the way through. So that's pretty simple. Now, the definition word that you have to know there is when we add 2 angles which add up to 180, they are supplementary angles. Okay? That is your key definition. All right, so let's take a look at our next question. Here we go. So, our next question here. Here's our first example. Well, we know that angles of, it says calculate the angles of these. So we know that the angles of a straight line add up to 180, right? So we know that A plus 155 is equal to 180. So let's write that down. A plus 155 is equal to 180 degrees. Now, how do I solve for A? Well, I have to solve for A. We're going to go reverse. So we go A is equal to, well, we're going to subtract 155 from both sides. And we're going to get 180 minus 155. Well, what does that give us? That's going to give me a total of 25 degrees. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the next one here. We have 3 angles adding up to give us a straight line. Not that bad. So all that means is we have B plus 51 plus 68 is equal to 180. So then that means if we have to combine these and subtract them. So if I combine those, it's B plus, I'm going to end up getting 119 is equal to 180. So I just combine those for the first step. Now B is equal to, I have to subtract 119 from both sides, okay, to isolate for B. So B is equal to 180 minus 119. Now what do I get B to be equal to? It's 180 minus 119. That is going to give me 61 degrees. There we go. Done. Now the next one is more difficult. I have one straight line here. and I have a second straight line. And I have a second straight line over here. So let's first take a look at the green straight line. Or we'll look at the orange straight line. So I know this 80. This 80 is what I know. So I can look at the green or orange. So if I'm looking at the 80 and I want to look at the green, well, 80 plus D is equal to 180. So we know that 80, so D plus 80 is equal to 180. 180 degrees. Okay, so we have D plus 80 is equal to 180 degrees. Now, let's continue this. Let's go out a bit. So let's continue this. So then D is equal to 180 minus 80. So then my D is equal to 100 degrees. That's what angle D is. Normally you donate it like that. So angle D is equal to 180. Okay? Now let's take a look at angle C. So angle C plus 80, because now we're looking at the orange line, angle C plus 80 is equal to plus 80 is equal to 100 degrees. Okay? Or 180 degrees. So we have to subtract 80 degrees from both sides. So angle C is equal to 180 minus 80 degrees. So then angle C now is equal to 100 degrees as well. That's interesting. Now, so we have angle C is equal to 100 degrees. Our next angle we're going to look at, I will go, so this is 100, this is 100. Now we have to find angle E. Well, I could use C and E or D and E. So then we have, I'll put it up here, angle E is equal to, I'm going to put it, rearrange it and skip a step now, 180 subtract this 100 degrees, okay? Because this plus this is equal to 180, so C plus E is equal to 180, so then 180 minus C must be equal to E. So we're going to end up getting 80 degrees is equal to angle E. There we go. So, now we have another little experiment to do here. Well, another little discovery part. Right now, we are going to go and look at opposite angles of a vertex. So what did we notice in this question above? What we noticed here is D and C are equal. And so is 80 and E. The opposite angles are equal. Is that true every time though? So we're going to check if it's true every time. So we're going to try with A here. So let's measure. We're just going to measure because we have one example there on top that we did before. We're going to try another example. Okay. So we are going to continue this here. So angle A, we take our trusty protractor and we are going to measure angle A. And angle A, we measure it out. I'm going to go, we go from 0, it's on the outside, follow it, we get 110 degrees. So A is 110 degrees. So let's look at angle C. Angle C, line up my protractor, measure it, 0's on the inside, follow it, 70 degrees. Let's look at angle B. I want to measure angle B. I go from 0, it's on the outside, the 0's on the inside, so I follow the inside, 110 degrees. Follow it, lines up, 110. Now let's look at angle D. Angle D, I measure it, I follow, and I get 70. Okay, so that's interesting. Now let's try this next one. Let's take a look at angle S. Measure out angle S. Quick follow, I'm at 0, and 0's on the outside, so I follow to there, and it looks right in between 30 and 40, so I'm going to say 35. Okay, let's look at U. Angle U, right around there. Here's the 0 because the angle U goes from here to here. So we go from 0 is on the inside all the way out. And it's in between 150 and 140, 145. Now, if I know this, I could even just do this for 11. If you use 145, we have S. Okay, so then use 145. What's T going to be? This is a straight line. I don't have to measure. So I just go 180 minus 145 is 35 degrees. We could use from what we did before, our laws up here with a straight line. Now I have a straight line here, and I'm looking at T is 35. Can we find out V? Or I could look at this straight line. This is 35. Can we find out V? So it's 180 minus 35, which will give you 145. Or you can measure it with your protractor, okay, to make sure. So opposite angles are, well, if we look at opposite angles, look at A and B. What do we notice about A and B? They are equal. Now let's take a look at C and C, or C and D. They are equal. Interesting. Now let's take a look at U and V. So we look at U and V. U and V are both 145. They are equal. Let's take a look at T and S. They are equal as well. So we find out that opposite angles around the vertex, opposite angles of the vertex are equal. Okay? So an opposite angle is called a vertically opposite angle. So opposite angles of the vertex are called vertically opposite. Now, the word vertical does not refer to height. It just, vertical comes from vertex, so they're vertically opposite. All right? So there we go. Now we're going to do angles around a point. So now we're going to look at angles around a point. So, same idea, take our trusty protractor and we're going to start measuring. First one here wants is E. So I'm going to take my protractor, line up, and measure E. I measure E with my protractor, 0's on the outside. I'm going to get 110 degrees. So E is 110 degrees. Now we're going to look at F. See what F is. Take my trusty protractor, line it up. I'm going from here. 0, I'm using my 0 on the inside one because this is my 0 line. Go around. I get, I said inside, 110 as well. Now let's take a look at my G. Well, G, take a look at this. 0 inside, and I go all the way 140. I add all these together, my calculator, I'm going to get 360. Well, that's interesting. Well, if I go this angle, and then this angle, and then this angle, what does that make? Does that make a circle? If you're doing a trick and you do a whole, like when you're skateboarding or rollerblading or on your bike, and you go all the way around, what is that? That is a 360 turn. So we went all the way around the vertex. Let's take a look at MN and P. So this one has 4. Big deal. First one it wants is M. So I'm going to use my protractor for M. We go 0's on the outside, and I will get outside 80 degrees. M is 80 degrees. Now we're going to do P. Okay, I line it up, P, and 0's on the outside again for this one, because there's my 0 line. I get 70 degrees. We have to do N. N is on the outside here, and I follow, inside we're going right there. I'm going to say that's, so we're going between 70 and 80, I want to say 75. That was N, 75, and then we're looking at Q. Okay, and for Q, we have this way. I'm looking at it. We're going on the inside. It's between 90 and 100. I'm going to just say 105. Okay, so we add all of these up, and what do we end up getting? Once again, 360. Well, that's interesting. So we have 360 and 360. Okay? I believe, I'm just going to make sure here. Mine's not quite adding up. So I have 180. I'm going to measure P again. Ah, that's why. My P is a mistake. I was supposed to follow the outside. P is 110, not 70. There we go. P is 110. There we go. Sorry, a mistake. So now we add those up, and we are going to end up getting P is 110. Yeah, P is 110, and M is 80. Q is, just do a quick remeasure of everything, just to make sure. Q is close to 90, and N is 70. Okay, so I'm going to say N is 70, and this is really, Q is closer to 90. Alright, so we take a look at that. So let me get 360. So now let's try B. So based on this conjecture, all angles add up to 360 degrees. Okay, now calculate the angles with marked letters. So here we have to find angle A. So angle A. All of these should add up to what? They should all add up to 360. So we have 360 is equal to A plus 80 plus 71 plus 52 plus 57. So let's add these up. This is going to give me 109 plus 71 is 180 plus 80 is 260. So I get A is equal, A plus 260 is equal to 360. So then I'm going to end up getting A is equal to 100 degrees. Okay? Let's take a look at the second one. The second one's a bit more challenging. We have two unknowns. But if I take a look at this here, we have a straight line. So this here is a straight line. Okay? And we have another straight line here that intersect. So we can use two rules for this. I'm going to take the easiest one without calculating. Well, this here is a vertex of two straight lines. These are opposites. So B must be equal to 60 degrees. The other way we could do this is I could take, this is a straight line, 180, and I add up all of these to find E, or else I go 120 and I add up these, this is 60. 180 minus 120 will give me that one. Okay? That's the other way we could do it. Normally they have to donate a straight line though. So now, let's take a look at C. I think the easiest way for C would be to go this way. So this is a straight line, so half of it is we're going to have 180 is equal to 60 plus 55, and then we go plus C. We add these together, and we're going to get 115 plus C is equal to 180. So then angle C is going to be equal to 180 minus 115. And we're going to end up getting 65 degrees. Okay? Now if we add all these together, 65 plus 60 plus 120 plus 60 plus 55, we end up getting, once again, we'll end up getting 360 degrees. That's a good way to check your answer. You add all those up, if it works, then you know you did not make a mistake. Okay, so here's our next investigation here. is we're going to look at a triangle. Now, basically, we want to just cut out and look at a triangle. So a triangle has 3 angles. So we're going to measure all 3 angles of each triangle. So the first angle, if we measure, is going to be, I look at it, and 0 inside one is between 50 and 60. So I'm going to say it's 55. So this one here is 55 degrees. Now let's take a look at angle 2. 2, put it on. I'm getting 70 degrees. Now angle 3. Put it on there. I'm going to get, look, it's in between 50 and 60, 55. Okay, so we look at this now. I have 2 55s and a 70 degree. I add this all together. What do we get? What is 55 plus 55? 110 plus 70 is 180 degrees. So every time you add the angles of a triangle together, it's going to give you 180 degrees. So if you put these 2 angles together and you cut them out, doesn't matter what triangle you do, we could group them like that and it'll make a straight line, which is kind of very interesting. And we'll use that for some calculations later on. So, angles in isosceles triangle. Here's the next thing. What is an isosceles triangle again? An isosceles triangle means, this is way back from grade 8, 2 sides are equal, and also 2 angles are equal. So if we look at this here, this one here we have this and this side are equal. Also, the opposite angles here are equal. Now, this here is not equal. This is a third angle, and this side here is not equal. So we have 2 equal sides, 2 equal angles. For this one, it's going to be here and here are my equal sides, equal angle, and there's my third side, and there's my other angle. Okay, now, next one. So now we're looking at isosceles triangles and triangles, so on and so forth, but we are also bringing out other rules. So, exterior angles of a triangle, which makes it even more tricky, but it's not that bad. So, here we go. What is the exterior angle of triangle I? Okay, so exterior angle of triangle I. Measure, I'm going from here, 0. This is an obtuse angle. We go 0 all the way, and it's between, 0's on the inside, 130 and 140, so I'm going to say 135. So it's 135. Now, if we remember from this here, this angle right here, this angle 3 is plus those 2 angles equals 180, right? Let's take a look at this here. This is a straight line. Here's this angle, we'll call it A. A is going to be A plus your exterior angle is equal to 180, isn't it? Yes. But now let's take a look at angle B and C and find their angles. So let's see the 2 opposite angles it wants us to find out. So look at this one. I'm going to get 60 degrees. So I have 60. And my next one is going to be, just make sure I'm correct. And I'm right there. It's going to be 75. All right. So, yeah, 75. So, if we add 60 and 75 together, what do we get? I want you to add these 2 numbers together. What do you see? Okay, I'll give you a minute to calculate. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this next one. The exterior angle is right here. It's an acute angle. So I'm going to measure this exterior angle, and I am going to get around, follow, it's acute, 70 degrees. So it's 70. Now let's find the 2 other angles, 2 opposite angles. This is the angle corresponding to it, but we want the 2 opposite angles, which would be this one and this one. So we're going to measure the 2 opposite angles, and this one here is 50, so I have 50 And this one here is, I do a quick measure. There we go. And I get 20. Okay? So we have 50 and 20. What does that add these together? You'll get something interesting. Now let's do our last one here. Measure my exterior angle. And my exterior angle is, again, obtuse angle for this one. I am going to end up getting, I am going to just have to kind of round and estimate here. Oh, there we go. I'm going to get 130. So, put in, it's 130 is my exterior angle. Now, next part says we must find these other two angles, the opposite angles, which are here and here. So I have to measure this one quickly, and I get 100. And the other one is going to be, I do that quickly, 30. So what do we find out? Opposite angles of the exterior angles, the sum. So the sum of the opposite angles to the exterior angle is equal to the exterior angle. Okay? So now we're going to look at the last few questions before you start your assignment. So it says, calculate the marked letters in the diagram to represent the scale shown. So these are not drawn to scale. So we're going to calculate them, but they're not drawn to scale. So we cannot use our protractor for these. It will not give us most likely the right answer. If it does, we are just very lucky. So we take a look at the first one. This is a triangle. What do all angles of a triangle add up to? 180. So you know 180 is equal to x plus 83 plus 65. So we continue this. So I'm going to get 180 is equal to x, and 83 plus 65 is going to give us 148. Okay? So now we have to isolate and solve for x. X is equal to 180 minus 148. That's going to give me a total of 32 degrees. So angle x is equal to 32 degrees. So let's try the next one here. This next one looks very complicated. It looks like a little sailboat, and we're going to try and calculate this out. So what do we know first of all? I'm going to look at this here. This is a straight line. It's a nice straight line. Well, that makes it simple. So we could find D, no problem. It's a straight line. So D is equal to, well, 180 is a straight line, and we're missing what part of 180? 29 degrees for the straight line. Minus 29 is D. So, what do we end up getting? We get angle D is equal to 151 degrees. H is very similar to D. So H is equal to 180 minus 36, because 36 plus H is equal to 180. I just quickly rearranged it in terms of H. Now when we subtract these, I'm going to end up getting 144 degrees. So angle H is equal to 144 degrees. So now we found two of our angles. We just have two more to go. Well, I look at this here. That, it must be a right angle, because it's a straight line, two going through. This has to be a right angle. This is 90 degrees, and this is 90 degrees as well. So let's take a look at angle C. I'm going to calculate angle C two different ways. So angle C, I'm going to look at the triangle. So angle C plus 90 plus 29 is equal to 180 degrees. okay? Because we have these three angles that make up a triangle. So that's going to give me 180 degrees. Sum of all angles in triangles is 180. So I'm going to get 90 plus 129 is 119. So C is equal to 180 degrees minus 119 degrees, which will give me a total of 61 degrees. And there we go. So angle C is equal to 61. Now we're just going to find angle D. I could do the same thing with angle D, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use a different law to find out, angle D. This one here, the first one I did was angle B, not D. So now angle D, we're going to go the other way around. So here's angle D. So angle D is going to be equal to, well, we know what angle B is. Angle B is 151. So angle D plus this 90, these two angles must equal to angle B. So angle D plus 90 degrees must be equal to, what is angle B? 151. That's using our exterior angle that we learned from before. That's from over here. And we said these two angles are added together equals this third angle. So this angle and this angle added together will equal the exterior angle. So here we have our exterior angle is equal to these two opposite angles added together. So we continue this, angle D is equal to 151 minus 90 degrees, and I'm going to get 61 degrees is angle D. So those are all of my angles for that one. Next word problem. Our next problem we have here, we're going to look at it. So I have 1, 2, 3 angles, 1, 2, 3. I have a total of 4 angles to figure out. So I'm going to start off over here. So which one looks the easiest? It's up to you what to start with. But I'm going to start here. I could find angle P. This is half a circle. So 180 minus 128 will give me P. So all I have to do is I know P plus 128 is equal to 180. So therefore, 180 minus this P, or minus this 125, 180 minus this 128 is going to be equal to P. So what do I end up getting? I end up getting 52 degrees is equal to P. Angle P is 52 degrees. Now from there, I have another 180 degree here. And that can help me find Q. So Q is equal to, we're going to look here, I'm going to have, well, 111 plus Q is 180, so then Q is equal to 180 minus 111. What's that going to give me? That is going to give me a total of 69 degrees. So now we have 2 of my angles. This is 69. This here is this is 52. Now I could find my angle R because a triangle must add up to 180. So we're going to use the triangle adds up to 180. So we could find this angle here, angle R. So R is equal to 180 minus my 2 other known angles. So it's the only missing. Minus 69 minus 52. 69 and 52 will give me 121. So 121 and 89 is going to give me a total of 59 degrees, I believe. Alright, so we're almost done now. So we have 59 degrees is equal to R. You guys could use those in the calculator to solve as well. Now we have this here. This is 50 degrees. We look at angle S. It's an exterior angle. This angle is going to be equal to these 2 angles added together. Well, we add them together there. That's 121 degrees. So S is equal to 121 degrees. because the two opposites to the exterior angle. Good. We also could have gone 128 is equal to 69 plus 59. That will give you 128, which is correct. So now we just have to figure out these last few here. Okay? So we look at this last one here that we need to know. We have a straight line. This is 71 degrees. So t is equal to 180 minus 71, which will give me a total of 109 degrees. Okay? So there we found out all of my angles. The reason why I got that is this is a straight line, and from a straight line, 71 degrees, so the rest is t. Okay? Alright, last one, then we're off to your assignment. We look at T, or sorry, F. F is, I believe that's an F. That is your exterior angle. But that doesn't help with this here because we don't know either angle, so that doesn't help. We know that this angle plus this angle is equal to this angle. That might help. We know this is an isosceles triangle. So therefore, this angle and this angle must be equal. So then we know angle D is equal to 34 degrees. Now, based on that, we can find angle F. Angle F is equal to 34 plus 34. These two angles added together. So angle F is equal to D plus 34, which is equal to 34 plus 34, which gives me 68 degrees. Now we have one more angle to find out, angle E. Well, we know these two angles or this, so this is a straight line. I could have done the triangle way. So we know 180 minus 68 is equal to angle F. So, angle E. Oops. We know angle F. Angle E. So we just continue this, and I'm going to get 112 degrees is equal to angle E. That's everything. Good luck on your assignment. I suggest reading over the summary and starting your assignment.